Hello and welcome back to Stammerun with me, John. Today we're going to be talking about the Vomero 16, and it's one of the most confusing shoes I've ever been in. So, the Vomero 16. Let's talk about the stats first. So, this shoe was £150 when it came out last year. Weighs about 10.9 ounces or 309 grams in a size 9. It has EVA foam and a ZoomX core. I think it's about 27-28 stack in the heel and about 14 in the midfoot. I will put the stats up. And it has a large air zoom bag in the forefoot. So let's talk about the upper first. So the upper has a plastic clip that goes around the heel counter, which keeps your heel in place. So I didn't find any slippage at all in the shoe. I've taken it out, it's been quite wet and it cleans up really nice. I would describe the upper as being quite plush. Very similar, other than the plastic plate, to the Pegasus 39, which I have here. The toe box, I find the shoe runs longer than as advertised. So for example, I'm a size 9, this is bigger than a size 9, and the forefoot upper here is really quite wide, to the point where I find that when I put my foot down, it sort of slaps around. So it's a lounge shoe. So I would say half a size down to your normal size. So the midsole now. So this is an EVA foam. I think this is supported by the Air Zoom bags in the forefoot. There's apparently a longer bag that sits there. I took it on a run, and because of the weight of the shoe, touching on 11 ounces, I wouldn't describe it as a speed shoe as such, but I'd take them all out and I'll put them all through some tests. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a everyday shoe that is similar to the Pegasus line. So Pegasus 40 is out at the time of speaking about this, but the midsole from the 39 to the 40, I believe, is exactly the same. So I think, as a comparison wise, I think this is fair. So how did the run feel? So I actually took the shoes out on 2 runs. So one on a 10k, over 10k, and one on a 6-mile run. So the first one is always just a test to see how it feels on foot. And as I'm coming late to the shoe, I was able to get some opinions on it from other people to see what they thought about the shoe, and so I had an idea about what to expect from the shoe. And I have to say, I had a very different experience to some other people. So I would definitely describe the shoe as a comfortable shoe. Definitely a plush, comfortable shoe, and other than it being slightly long, it's a really good fit. Everything in the shoe fits other than the toe box up here, which I find really well, which is irritating because it is really wide. Could be because of my feet. I don't have I'm a size 9, but I do have quite thin feet, so I noticed that a lot here. So the run itself, I took it on 2 runs. One, because it's probably not fair to take it out on a run if it doesn't feel great. At least then, if you have a comparative after that, then you know it kind of helps with the thoughts on the shoe. So, and the Zoom X Core for me, I find I do all of so when I run, I spend a lot of my time in the midfoot to the forefoot, never really in the heel. So having this extra amazing foam in the heel, it doesn't impact me at all. Now, apparently there's a core of the foam, but I didn't really feel that cushionness of the Zoom X foam in the core at all. So I've got the Invincible Run 2, and that as a shoe, you know that has that foam in that shoe. That's a very responsive, I find it a very cushioned, very responsive shoe. Again, that's the purpose of that shoe to how I use the Invincible 2 is different. So I was expecting this to be a sort of everyday shoe, long plod. I just didn't find that. I felt it was really quite heavy, quite cumbersome. Could be because the sizing is definitely bigger, and I just found the forefoot just like a flipper. I experienced that as well. I actually found the similar ride on the Vomero 16 to the Nike Next Percent, the Tempo, because that was a combination of foams, and I found that just really slappy. And that's what I found with this shoe, is that it's really slappy. I can wear a size 9 in a lot of shoes, and even if they are bigger, they're not that big. This is much bigger. The toe box for me was an issue because I just felt it was really slappy. So when I then tried to get up on my toes, I just found it was just really quite long and just nothing there to give you that spring. The transition in the shoe, you know, to get you from front to back, I just found wasn't there at all. There is no transition there, even to the point where sometimes I wear a race flat shoe, so I can find that when you can feel the ground, your feet will have a pattern where it will kind of go from back to front, but because there's too much foam even for that, the ground feel isn't there either. So you're left in this limbo state where you've got this amazing foam covered by this EVA foam and this Air Zoom pocket in there as well, but it just doesn't work. It really doesn't work for what it's trying to do. And in fact, I don't know what it's trying to do. So let's go to the second part of the run. So the second run, I wanted to take it out again, do some slightly faster work, because I've got like heavier shoes that do work for a faster pace. A good example of that actually is the Reebok Symmetros 2. It even though it's a slightly heavier shoe, and I guess it's in competition with this, it doesn't feel like a heavier shoe. Whereas this does feel like a heavy shoe. It feels like a heavy, slappy shoe. So I decided to take it out again and do some faster pace. So I got this up to 401 per K, and what I found, so the paces of the shoe, so I will put up the paces in the shoe. So, you know, I did a 6:33 mile was the first mile, then slowed that down because the aim was to have a bit of a faster pace, recover, and then recover in the shoe, and then start to increase the pace to a kind of more of a faster, higher pace. So then I took it up to 6:56 per mile, and at that pace it really felt really heavy. It doesn't like slower paces. For me, I found that at slower pace the shoe just does not work. It's a bit like when you go for a run and you don't know why you're going for a run, or you just don't know if you want to go for a fast run or a slow run. You don't know if you're going to go long or short, and you just end up having a meh run. That's what this is. At that pace, it's a meh. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to do. It's too heavy and too flappy to do those say zone 3, maybe zone 2 to zone 3, like heart rate kind of miles, where you just want to plod along. You know, it's just an everyday mile, and you're not going to go out for too long. Maybe you're going to do about 8 miles to 10 miles, and you just want to just sort of plod along because you just know you have to tick over some miles. This is not the shoe for that. Also, for really slow miles where you want to say you've had a race and you just want to slip into a shoe and just have a nice easy ride, again, this is not that shoe. The foams in the shoe and the composition of the shoe and the zoom pod in here is not conducive to a soft ride. It's actually quite a firm ride. So the intended purpose of this shoe is not very good at that. For a potentially a recovery shoe, it's not good at that either. So this is £150. So for that price, the intended purpose of the shoe, it absolutely fails. Now, where it does shine slightly is unbelievably at high paces. On the runs, I did the first 5 miles at a kind of relatively lowish pace, you know, nothing too mad. So again, I did 6:33, 6:56, 6:36, and then I took it up to a 6:12 for the mile, and it actually responded pretty well. Not because I was able to get up on the toes, but there was just something, I think, about the grip, and we can speak about that. It just, because it's such a firm shoe, I just think as you hit it hard, I think you get more responsiveness from all the foams and the pod when you kind of are trying to hit it really hard. And then I took it back down again to see what would happen if you go for a slightly higher pace. Can you recover, and how that felt? So I took it then back down to 6:46, and it just felt awful again. So I thought for the last mile, I just thought I would just give it a proper whack, and I did a 5:42 mile in the shoe, averaging 3:32 per K, and that is the best that the shoe felt. Now, my problem with that is that that's too heavy. This is a too heavy, cumbersome shoe to sort of maintain that kind of pace for like a 5K. I think I could probably give it a good go, but I think it's too heavy, too cumbersome. It's almost too plush, too warm to be able to sustain that for me for a long time. So this is where I'm really confused as to what this shoe actually is. So £150 I think is a lot of money for this particular shoe. The caveat to that is I don't think it's necessarily a bad shoe. I think that to some people this will be the perfect shoe. I think this is geared at more of a taller, heavier person for me, with bigger feet. And if you have bigger feet and you can actually fill out this shoe, I think you possibly could quite enjoy the shoe. However, I still don't think if you're buying this shoe to go on a long run, I don't think it will work for a lot of people. The Zoom X foam is great to have in here, but I didn't feel that at all. And for me, it's too heavy to take it out and do super fast runs. Where I would use this shoe for me personally is if you wanted a faster run. So to me, it's like if you put weights on your ankles and then you sprint, and then when you take off the weights to do the pace again, should be kind of like easier to do. And that's what I would use this shoe for, is I would use this as a sort of weighted shoe to do some faster sprints in, with the hope that then when I get into a different shoe, a lighter shoe that's meant for that, I'd be able to go quicker. So this is where I'm really conflicted with this shoe, because I think this shoe looks actually quite nice. The toe box for me is an issue, but other than that, the upper is really plush, it's really nice, it's comfortable, your foot fits in perfectly. And actually on foot, when you just like have a walk, again, it's a comfortable shoe. It is a comfortable shoe. The rubber outsole on this thing is, I think it's actually pretty good. This will definitely last. You know, you've got lugs on here. You know, it's reasonably thick, and I'll commend Nike on the basis that this shoe I think will last a very long time. I think with this shoe you're probably talking north of 700k to 1000k in this shoe. I think it's that well made. I would say that this is a really well made shoe. The execution for what it's supposed to do, I think it falls. So from a price point, if you want a shoe that's comfortable, that's going to last you, that £150 then doesn't seem so bad. I still think that's ridiculously priced for this kind of shoe, especially when you've got the Pegasus line. And I actually think the Pegasus is a better shoe. I much prefer the foam in this shoe. I actually prefer the implementation of the foam. There are airbags. There is that Air Zoom bag in here. I think there's two in here actually. And I just think that the foam in here is slightly different to the Vomero 16, and I think this shoe is perfect for an everyday shoe. This Pegasus shoe, the 39, can pretty much do everything. This is the shoe that I wear for everyday miles, to picking up the kids from school, and you know, I've probably done 500k in the shoe. It still looks okay, it still feels nice. So this almost feels like what they're trying to do is a Pegasus Plus or Pegasus Pro, and it just doesn't work. Just what you're trying to do with this, put it on here. I think they tried to make two shoes, and this is what I don't know where this sits. That's my issue with this shoe, and that's my ultimate gripe with this shoe is that the shoe is comfortable, the upper's nice, the traction is good, the foams and the air zoom pockets in this. There's a lot of stuff here, but the execution, I think, is wrong. It can't do, for me, you can't do the everyday miles. It can, but I just don't enjoy the feel of that shoe. You can't do long runs in it. You could do some faster work, but it's not a tempo. I wouldn't pick it up as the faster shoe. So I just perplexed, and I don't know what this is for when you've got the Pegasus. And yeah, this is a better in terms of upper and maybe quality. I think this will last longer than a Pegasus, but as a shoe, I know what this shoe is. So if I'm spending, I don't know, 120, 130 pounds on the Pegasus, I know what this shoe is. Whereas for 150, I just don't know, and that's the problem that I have with this shoe. What would I score the Vomero 16? So this is a really confusing shoe. That's the constituents of the shoe. It's actually a really nice shoe, but when you look at the shoe for what it's supposed to do, that's where it falls down. So the upper, for me, 3/4 of the upper, this is just a really good upper. It's really comfortable, it's really snug. It's not as hot as you think. I've not experienced any hot spots, but I have to take off marks for the length of the shoe and the toe box. It just feels really, really slappy. So for that, I scored the upper a 6. I would have scored it an 8. So for me, 3/4 of the upper is an 8. The midsole. So all the technologies in here. So you've got the air zoom pods, the EVA foam, I think it's React foam, I'm not sure, and the ZoomX foam in the heel and in the core. I didn't feel all those things together. You do feel the pods a bit, and I find the ride firm. I don't mind that, but the execution of what it's trying to do didn't work for me. So for me, it's not a shoe I would wear every day because I don't like the feel. It's not a shoe I could wear for a longer run because, again, it's just the feel, and I just don't think there's enough there. But I think this shoe excels at faster paces, but it's not a fast shoe. So for that, I would score the midsole a 6 out of 10. There will be some people who will really enjoy the midsole, but for me and the intended purpose of the midsole, it doesn't work. The outsole, I would give the outsole probably an 8. I take off marks because even though it's quite good, The lugs on this are really good, and I do think it will last. I take some off because even though you've got lugs, where I run there is a lot of leaves and it's wet, and I did slip a little bit. Nothing too mad, but I would not expect to slip at all. Other than that, the grip is fantastic. In the wet, it's really good. So I'd give that an 8. So I mean, all in all, and this is not an average score of the 6 and the 6 and the 8, I would, for me personally, and price, let's not forget price, £150, I'd give it a 5 on the price because I think that's far too high. In fact, I will increase that score to a 6.5 because it's £150. Even though I would score it down for what it's trying to be, it doesn't work. But this will last, and it's actually a really well put together made shoe, and I think it will last a long time. So for that, I'll give it 6.5. And if I was to give it an overall score, and this is not an average score of a 6.5 to 8, I would probably give it a 6. I think that there is something there, and if I was forced to use the shoe, I could. It wouldn't be a shoe that I would necessarily pick up, which is a shame because it actually looks good and is a really comfortable shoe. It's not a shoe that I would pick up and go and enjoy the miles in this shoe. So for that, I'd give it a 6.5. An overall letdown, and I'm just confused. I really don't know what this shoe is and who it's for. Especially again, as I say, the Pegasus 39, 40 is out, and I just think this is a better shoe at a lower price point that will probably last just as long, and it knows what it wants to be, and it knows what it's trying to do. And on that note, thank you for taking the time to watch. Please don't forget to like, favourite and subscribe, and let me know in the comments about how you feel about the Vomero 16, 15, 17 and the Peg as well, and I'll see you on the next one.